Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The alien fleet arrived without warning. At first, the people of Earth thought the objects near Jupiter were just strange signals from space. Astronomers saw them appear on their telescopes like dark stars that should not exist. Then the signals moved. Hundreds of massive ships slid out of deep space and stopped near the edge of the solar system. They were enormous. Each ship was bigger than a city. Within hours, every government on Earth understood the truth. Humanity was not alone. And the visitors were not friendly. The alien empire called itself the Zerath Dominion. They had ruled thousands of worlds for more than 6,000 years. Their technology was far beyond anything humans had ever created. Their message arrived in every language on Earth at the same moment. The transmission was simple. People of Earth, your planet now belongs to the Zerath Dominion. You will surrender your governments, your weapons, and your planet. You have 24 hours to respond. If you refuse, your civilization will end. The message ended there. No negotiation. No discussion. Just a command. For several hours, the planet went silent. Cities stopped moving. News channels spoke in quiet voices. Military leaders rushed into emergency meetings. Many people believed the same thing. Humanity had no chance. The alien ships could destroy Earth easily. Their weapons were more advanced than anything humans had imagined. Some leaders suggested surrender immediately. Others said humanity should try to negotiate. But one question kept appearing again and again. What if surrender did not save them? 20 hours after the message arrived, the governments of Earth sent their answer. The response came from a small military station in orbit around the planet. A single human officer appeared on the alien screens. Her name was Commander Sarah Kellen. She wore a simple Navy uniform. Her dark hair was tied back. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tired. Behind her, the blue curve of Earth slowly rotated in space. She looked directly at the camera. This message is for the Zerath Dominion. We received your demand. She paused for a moment. Then she spoke again. Humanity refuses. Across the alien fleet, thousands of officers turned toward their screens in confusion. This had never happened before. Every civilization eventually surrendered. Everyone. But Earth had just said no. Far away on the Dominion flagship, Supreme Commander Valek listened carefully. Valek was tall and thin, with gray skin and long, narrow eyes. He had commanded dozens of planetary conquests during his career. Never once had a weaker species refused surrender. He replayed the message again. The human woman did not look afraid. That bothered him. Report, Valek said. One of his officers stepped forward. Commander, Earth has begun mobilizing their defense forces. Valek raised an eyebrow. They intend to fight. Yes. The officer touched a display screen. Human ships appeared on the tactical map. Warships were leaving Earth's orbit. Fighters launched from hidden bases. Even old cargo ships and mining vessels were being prepared for combat. Valek studied the numbers. The human fleet was large. But compared to the Dominion fleet, it was meaningless. We outnumber them 800 to 1. The officer said. Valek nodded slowly. And yet they still fight. Yes, Commander. Valek turned toward the giant window at the front of the bridge. The blue planet Earth floated peacefully in the distance. Curious, he murmured. On Earth, Commander Sarah Kellen stood inside the orbital defense station. The control room was filled with activity. Officers moved quickly between screens and communication panels. Thousands of ships were launching from the planet below. Most of them were not designed for war. But today, everything that could fly would fight. A young officer approached Sarah nervously. "Commander, the alien fleet is beginning to move." Sarah nodded. "Expected." The officer looked at her carefully. "Do you really think we can stop them?" Sarah did not answer immediately. She looked out the large observation window. Below them, Earth glowed with life. Billions of people. Cities full of lights. Oceans and forests. Everything humanity had ever built. Finally she spoke. "No," she said quietly. The officer blinked. "Then why are we fighting?" Sarah looked back at the tactical display. More human ships were forming a defensive line between Earth and the incoming alien fleet. Because even if they could not win, they could still make a difference. "Because we are buying time," she said. "Time for what?" "For people to escape." The officer stared at the screen. Thousands of civilian ships were leaving Earth. Transport vessels, colony ships, old cargo freighters. Anything that could carry people was being launched into space. "Evacuation," the officer whispered. Sarah nodded. If Earth falls, humanity must survive somewhere else. The young officer slowly understood. They were not fighting to win. They were fighting to protect the future. Several hours later, the two fleets finally met. The human fleet formed a wide defensive line near the orbit of Mars. Hundreds of ships floated in formation. Old warships, new experimental fighters, converted civilian vessels. Together they created the last shield between Earth and the Dominion fleet. Across the battlefield, the alien ships advanced like a wall of metal. Each Dominion cruiser was larger than 10 human ships combined. Their weapons glowed with terrible energy. On the human command channel, Sarah opened a broadcast. "This is Commander Kellen to all human vessels." Her voice was steady. "Today we defend our home. We may not survive this battle, but humanity will remember what we do here." The channel remained silent for a moment. Then voices began answering one by one. A pilot from Brazil spoke first. "For Earth." A captain from India replied next. "For our families." Another voice joined from a small fighter squadron. "For humanity." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The alien fleet continued moving closer. Soon the distance between the two forces was small enough for weapons to fire. She took a deep breath. "Human fleet," she said softly. "Hold the line." On the Dominion flagship, Commander Valak watched the strange scene. The humans had formed a defensive wall, even though they knew they would lose. It made no logical sense. "Begin attack," Valak ordered. Thousands of alien weapons ignited at once. Brilliant beams of plasma tore across the darkness of space. The first human ships exploded instantly. But something unexpected happened. The humans did not retreat. Instead, they charged forward. Small fighters rushed directly toward massive alien warships. Missiles filled space like angry storms. Some human ships even rammed into Dominion vessels. Valak watched carefully. These humans were not fighting like a normal army. They fought like a species that refused to give up, even when defeat was certain. Even when survival was impossible. Ship after ship was destroyed. Yet the human fleet continued attacking. Commander Valak slowly realized something. The humans were not trying to win. They were trying to delay him. He turned toward the tactical officer. "What is happening on Earth?" The officer checked the sensors. Then his eyes widened. "Commander, millions of ships are leaving the planet." Valak understood immediately. The humans were sacrificing their fleet to protect their people. They were fighting for time. And for the first time in his long military career, Commander Valek felt something strange. Respect. But the battle was far from over. Because the Dominion fleet was still moving forward, and Earth was still in danger. The battle near Mars had turned into chaos. Burning wreckage drifted across the dark emptiness of space. Pieces of destroyed ships spun slowly through the battlefield. Human fighters darted between massive alien warships like small insects attacking giants. Every minute, more human ships were destroyed. But every minute, the Dominion fleet was delayed. Inside the orbital defense station, Commander Sarah Kellen watched the tactical screen carefully. Red dots marked human ships. Blue dots marked Dominion vessels. At the start of the battle, hundreds of red dots had filled the screen. Now only a few dozen remained. A communication officer spoke quietly. "Commander, evacuation ships have reached safe distance from Earth." Sarah nodded slowly. "That's good." Another explosion appeared on the screen. A human cruiser disappeared in a bright flash of light. The officer beside her whispered, "We can't hold much longer." Sarah already knew that. The Dominion fleet was still enormous. Even after destroying many alien ships, the humans had barely slowed them down. Soon the alien fleet would reach Earth. And when that happened, everything would end. Sarah opened the fleet-wide communication channel again. "This is Commander Kellen to all remaining vessels." Her voice was calm, but everyone could hear the exhaustion behind it. "You have fought with incredible courage. Because of you, millions of civilians have escaped." Another explosion shook the screen. A squadron of human fighters vanished under alien fire. Sarah continued speaking. "Humanity will survive because of what you did today." She paused. Then she said the words every pilot already understood. "All remaining ships, prepare for final attack." Across the battlefield, human captains understood the meaning immediately. They would not retreat. They would not surrender. They would strike the Dominion fleet one last time. On the Dominion flagship, Commander Valek stood silently. The battle display showed the last human ships gathering together. Only 20 remained. Valek watched them carefully. "They are preparing something," one officer said. Valek nodded. "Yes." Another officer asked, "Should we destroy them now?" Valek shook his head. "No." He wanted to see what the humans would do. The remaining ships formed a tight formation. Then suddenly, they accelerated forward at full speed, straight toward the center of the Dominion fleet. Valek realized their plan instantly. "They intend to ram our ships." The officer sounded shocked. "That is suicide." Valek's voice was quiet. "They already know that." One by one, human ships slammed into the shields of Dominion cruisers. Explosions filled the battlefield. One alien destroyer lost power and drifted helplessly away. Another cruiser was forced to retreat with heavy damage. Even in their final moments, the humans were still fighting, still refusing to stop, still refusing to kneel. Valek watched the final human ship on the screen. Commander Kellen's station. The damaged orbital defense platform was moving slowly toward the Dominion flagship itself. "Commander," an officer said nervously, "the station is on collision course with us." Valek stared at the screen. Inside that station was the human officer who had refused surrender. The woman who had held the line for hours. He opened a direct communication channel. Sarah Kellen appeared on the screen. Her uniform was damaged. Smoke filled the room behind her. But her expression remained calm. "Commander Kellen," Valek said, "you have lost." Sarah gave a small smile. "Maybe." Valak leaned forward. You fought well. Few species would show such determination. Sarah nodded once. Thank you. Valak continued speaking. You have proven your courage. I will give you one final chance. Surrender now. For the sake of your species. The station continued drifting closer. Sarah looked past the screen toward the blue planet below her. Earth was still beautiful. Still alive. She turned back to Valak. Commander, she said softly. You still don't understand humans. Valak frowned. Explain. Sarah answered calmly. We never fight alone. At that exact moment, alarms exploded across the Dominion bridge. Commander, the sensor officer shouted. Multiple hyperspace signals detected. Valak turned sharply. What? The main display filled with new contacts. Ships were appearing everywhere around the solar system. Dozens. Hundreds. Then thousands. But they were not Dominion ships. They were alien. Completely different designs. Different energy signatures. Different technologies. The tactical officer stared at the screen in disbelief. Commander, these are ships from other civilizations. Valak's eyes narrowed. Identify them. The officer began reading the names. The Talari Confederation. The Kesari Union. The Draven Collective. The Orlan Republic. More fleets continued appearing. Every direction. Every corner of space. Soon the number of new ships exceeded the Dominion fleet. Valak spoke slowly. Why are they here? A transmission suddenly appeared on the screen. A new alien face replaced Sarah's image. The being had blue skin and glowing white eyes. This is Ambassador Relan of the Talari Confederation. Valak stared at him. You have entered Dominion military space. Relan shook his head. No. We have entered human space. Valak felt the situation shifting rapidly. You intend to defend them. Relan answered calmly. Yes. Another message appeared. This one from the Draven Collective. A reptilian commander spoke firmly. Years ago, a human medical ship saved one of our colonies from disease. We owe them a debt. Another fleet joined the transmission. The Orlan Republic. A tall silver-skinned alien spoke. Humans once rescued our explorers when their ship was lost. We will not forget that. Message after message arrived. Every species told a similar story. Humans had helped them, saved them, protected them. Sometimes the help had been small. Sometimes it had been huge. But humanity had never asked for payment. They simply helped because it was the right thing to do. Now the galaxy was returning the favor. Commander Valak slowly understood the truth. Humans were not powerful because of their technology. They were powerful because of their kindness, their courage, their loyalty. The Dominion fleet was now completely surrounded. Outnumbered, outmatched. Valak closed his eyes for a moment. Then he gave the order. All Dominion ships withdraw from the system. The great alien fleet slowly turned away from Earth. For the first time in thousands of years, the Zerath Dominion retreated. Inside the damaged station, Sarah Kellen watched the alien fleet leaving. Behind them, thousands of Allied ships filled the sky. Human evacuation vessels began returning to Earth. The planet was safe. Sarah finally allowed herself to relax. Humanity had survived. Not because they were the strongest. Not because they had the best weapons. But because they had something far more powerful. They had friends. Across the galaxy, many species would remember this day. The day a small blue planet refused to kneel. The day humanity stood against an empire. And the day the galaxy stood beside them. Because when humans say they will help you, they mean it. And when humans fight for something they love, they never give up. The end.